Oh no. That relay replacement took me 7 hours just to do one relay. All right, starts, runs strong. Welcome back to another episode of Bro Premier, guys. If you are new to the channel, we've been working on my 2009 Volkswagen Routan. We've been working on this thing for a while, so I'm sure my previous subscribers are probably getting tired of this thing, because I know I'm definitely getting tired of this thing. But basically, I bought this thing for $1,300, and I got it that cheap because it has 163,000 miles. It had a cracked windshield. It was previously used as a work van, so the whole back was empty. There was no seats, nothing. All the plastics were dirty with, again, sheetrock, paint, all things of the sort. In the second episode, I ended up going to the junkyard, finding seats for, I think, like $300 to get the rear seats, and I ended up getting the front seats to match. In the second episode, I ended up going back to the junkyard, getting a floorboard that actually fit the middle seat so it actually lock in place. Also, I ended up going to get a new windshield. In the fourth episode, I cleaned all the plastics, got everything finally complete. In the fifth episode, I ended up cleaning all the cloth material in the car. Also in that episode, I ended up spray painting and cleaning up the front end. You can't see it now, but there was a bunch of chips and nicks, and this whole piece right here was a dent that had been slammed pretty good and just chipped all the paint off. In the last episode, I ended up fixing the door handles inside. They had chrome that was kind of peeling off, kind of chipping away. So I had to strip it completely off, sand it down, paint it. I also had to do the center cover for the steering wheel, which turned out amazing. Both of them, it looked OEM, very happy with it. I also pulled out the TIPM. TIPM is basically the fuse box that is in the engine bay of these Volkswagen Routans, along with Dodge Grand Caravans, Chrysler Town & Countries. In that fuse box, there's a couple of relays built into the motherboard that go bad, and that's where we're at today. Without further ado, I'm gonna take you upstairs, kind of go through the motherboard a little bit with you. I thought it was one relay, it turned out to be another one, and I'm gonna try to show you the best I can. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but we're definitely gonna try. I'll see you up there. All right, guys, so I literally bought a magnifying lens to wear while I do this soldering job, and I took the lens out and I put it over the camera, so hopefully you guys can see some of this. But in the last episode, I kind of mentioned to you guys that I thought it was this relay, that there was some cracking down here along the soldering joints. And again, I don't know if you can actually see that or not. Upon some more research, I found out that these aren't the relays related to the fuel. In fact, a lot of this is related to door locks and maybe even the cooling fan. I forgot if I saw cooling in there. I definitely have to check and verify if that's true or not. But the actual fuel relay is down here. And I still don't know if you can see in the camera. My screen is pretty small here, so I can't really tell. I hope you can see it. But basically, this right here has a hole burned through. And this right here also has a hole burned through. And this is almost completely burned through. So I am guessing that this is my fuel problem. What happens is these can actually weld solid and keep the fuel pump running even when you're not driving. So when you park your car, your thing can be running for, I don't know, extra 20 seconds, 30 seconds, minute, couple of minutes, just blowing fuel through your system back and forth, just kind of creating a lot of vapor that nothing's happening with. So I definitely think this is my main problem with my fuel consumption. Now, with all that said, upon ending the last episode, I immediately ordered all the relays for these. So I ordered these three, and then I thought I'd take a shot in the dark and order this one, and luckily I got it because I found out later that this is actually the main problem. But anyway, I do want to replace all of them, just in case. I don't want to put this thing back together and then my windshield wipers start acting up or something weird like that. So my goal for right now is to literally take all these off and then put all of them back on. That's the goal, fingers crossed. But with that said, I'm gonna get started and I'll get back to you guys, for you, probably in a couple of minutes here. All right. right, guys, it is the next morning. That relay replacement took me 7 hours just to do one relay. Really, it took me like 4.5 exactly, but I first tried to use like this cheap little soldering iron from Harbor Freight. They're like $7. That didn't work. Then I pulled out the big gun, the one I use for all my plastic staples type of thing, plastic welding. That got me a few more of the soldering joints loose, but there were still 2, maybe 3 that were still stuck. So I ended up going back to Harbor Freight, buying this $40 one that's supposed to be close to what the professionals use. It's not really that close. I mean, those things are like $400 machines, but it's 40 bucks. It got close to the heat, not quite, but it ended up getting most of the joints free except for one that still would not give up. And that's when I ended up taking the torch, which is something I watched on some soldering video. I actually went to the local convenience store, bought a little torch and used that to melt it out and pull out the relay. And then I spent like a 30 minutes to an hour trying to just wick one little piece of silver out of there at a time, out of that last joint, until finally the hole was clear. Took forever. I think what happened is someone might have switched silver with solder when they installed that by accident. I think just based on all these videos I was watching, but I'm sure someone who does soldering down below is gonna tell me the correct thing that happened. Either way, it took 4 hours to replace one relay. I think it was like 4.5 hours. After that, I realized I don't want to mess with the other ones. It's just going to do more harm than good. So I checked the one that I thought had a bad soldering joint, and it turns out it was just the way that the solder settled. It wasn't actually cracked. It was just kind of an illusion. So I resoldered those just in case, just to make sure. And then I ended up putting the whole thing back together, and I put in like 20 of those hard, big fuses. And then I realized I forgot like these little fuse extensions for certain spots, and I had to take them all back out, redo it again. I didn't even tape that because I just figured how boring it would be for you guys. All said and done, yesterday took me 7.5 hours to do that thing. I don't think I'll ever do it again. I really don't know. The cool thing is, if this worked, I fixed the whole problem with a $10 relay. The bad news is it took 7 hours, 7.5 hours, and I would totally just pay for a $200 used remanufactured unit online. Way easier. But with all that said, my goal for right now is I want to reinstall that thing back on the vehicle and see if this car will even start. Fingers crossed. Let's see what happens. All right, starts, runs strong. My goal for the rest of today is to actually finish up all the little tidbits of things that I keep forgetting, but they need to be done. So my goal is to finish those all up today. It's a lot of little things. Hopefully it all works out. But the first thing I want to tackle is the cover that goes over the windshield wipers. So this little cover has been loose since I bought it. I think it might be part of the rattling noise that I hear. It makes sense when taken off. I don't know. But basically the way it works is it kind of goes underneath the windshield. It uses clips up here that kind of be held underneath the windshield. And then down here it's secured by these little holes that go into the metal. But before I even secure it, I first want to take it all the way out, and I want to fix all this rubber. See, it's cracking all apart. It looks really ratty and trashy. So I either want to yank it completely off or try to cut a very smooth line in it that looks good. I think the smooth line is going to be hard, but that's what I'm going to aim for first. If it turns out bad, that's coming off. So let's get started with that, see how it goes. All right guys, I got that cover back on. It's mounted tight-ish. It's a little worn out. It looks like it's been doing that for probably years, just kind of sitting there. But it ended up looking pretty decent. I'm pretty content. It's not great. I definitely want to take it off. But I think you guys saw I was trying to use a puller. The puller wasn't working. I tried just yanking on it like I normally get them off. Was not budging at all. I wanted to pry it, but then I didn't want to crack my brand new windshield. So it is what it is. I had to stop and just cut, and hopefully it looks good, which it looks all right. So as you can see, it's more of a straight line. Up there is more grit. It looks like it's still crumbling, but really that's broken off pieces kind of folded behind it now. So I got to take the power washer through here and just kind of push it all out. But what I would like to do next is actually wash this whole thing down. Give it a good rinse, kind of see where the paint's at, just on everything. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. After I give it a wash, kind of see where everything's at and see what needs to be buffed, sanded, kind of waxed, all that. Let's get at it. All right, it's about, I think like 3 hours later. There was a lot of grime built up in this car. There still is. A lot of those black specks that I mentioned to you, I believe they are tar on there. They're gonna take a lot more scrubbing, a lot more work. So what I'm gonna move into right now is actually going through and doing like a 3000 grit sandpaper on some of the spots that are kind of scuffed or little paints on it. Kind of just like those spots where you've kind of just barely hit something and it puts a little scuff of paint from that object on there. There's a bunch of those, like all over this thing. So yeah, I'm basically just gonna go through, wet sand all those to remove them and then kind of see where everything is from there. Let's get at it. All right guys, so I've gone around the entire car and got off almost every little scuff, scrape, scratch, anything that can come off, I believe is now off. Everything except for some paint pieces that I can't seem to get off. It's kind of like a speckled paint, a little hard, but check it out. I don't know if you guys can actually see all these little paint specks, but it's almost like someone just kind of took a paintbrush and did this, but from far away, almost like a spray paint. Not mine, before you guys all say that. It's gray. It's like a dark gray color. But yeah, it's kind of all over this section and all over here. And if I take that 3000 grit to it too much, I'm just gonna scrape all the paint around it, including it. It's not gonna turn out good. So I'm kind of giving up on that. Although I do want to try something right now, which is more aimed toward this section. This section I believe to be like a tar. And I don't know if you guys can see that as well. Just all those little specks. But it looks like someone dropped something here and it just shot up, but I just couldn't for the life of me get it off. If I sat there with the 3000, I could scrub it for a while and get a couple of specks off, but again, I'm just doing more damage than like fixing it. So I think what I'm going to try to do right now is use carb cleaner on this and that paint over there and see if I can get the majority of it off. I don't care if I get all of it, but just so it doesn't look so obvious that this thing was sprayed with something. So yeah, that is my goal for right now, is to try to get all those specks off best I can. I don't want to damage the paint, but even if I damage it a little bit, I am going to be buffing it, so I'll probably be able to bring back any burnt clear coat color, I think, I hope. So anyway guys, that's what I'm going to try right now, and I'll get back to you guys in a few. All right, I was able to get all of the black specks off. Originally, I was trying to use rubbing alcohol. It wasn't working that good, so I just finally caved and used carb cleaner. Then it came off amazingly. So quick, so easy. I'm very pleased. Check it out, guys. All of the black speck, literally, that went from this corner down to this corner, completely gone. I'm so happy. And then the paint on this door, also, everything came off. So nice and easy. Even up here, it came off well. I'm so damn pleased. On this corner, it is all gone. I'm so happy. I couldn't be more content. But now my goal, what I would like to do, is to finally finish this door. I didn't tape this, I meant to, but I ended up spraying out the inside quick just to kind of get rid of all the dirt that was in here. There was a lot. So I sprayed that out all quick. But now what I like to do is actually tackle the plastics and finally complete the entire interior. So that's my goal, kind of finish that up and then kind of see where we're at. All right guys, it is the next morning. I ended up finishing the door, came out great. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it to the wet sanding and the buffing this episode. It's It's already Wednesday. I got to start editing this to put it out Thursday for you guys. So don't think I'm going to be able to reach it, but I am very content with how clean this car already looks. Check it out. I mean, all the paints cleaned up so well. It's so much more reflective. And I don't know, maybe some of you guys do know, but if you saw me, I was kind of sanding out this like rust colored color along the edges of the door cracks. For some reason, right along the edge here, it was as if something was kind of catching onto them, but it was like this burnt yellowish rustic brown color on all the door sills in the back. Only that one, I think maybe the bumpers had it a little bit. Oh, whoa, it did change the color of my car. Oh no. Oh wow, guys, the carb cleaner totally changed the color of this paint right here. All right, hopefully I can buff that out. I really don't know. Now I'm concerned about the rest of the car. Shoot. Okay, the rest doesn't look that bad. But yeah, all these little sills here were covered with that rust color. But check it out, guys. I mean, all the black spots are off. I mean, just look from afar. This looks like a totally different van. I'm so happy about how it turned out. This paint has become a little rough. I'm kind of nervous how good it's actually going to become. I still have to wet sand all the edges. This is just peeling up from paint and washing off the dirt. I didn't think about the blend effect when I was trying not to overspray everything by leaving everything dirty. I should have cleaned everything up. I should have sanded this down. I should have sanded in between coats. I know that's something recommended. I always skip that if I'm being honest. I think I have to accept that I have to start sanding between coats so that I get a nice smooth finish. I don't think I'm going to be sanding a lot of this stuff down, just the edges like this where it's clearly a transition. I don't know if you guys can even see that in the screen. I will be sanding the edges, trying to make them smoothed out and kind of pull them out as far as I can to buff in. But I don't think it's going to be too great. I mean, anything's better than what it was, but I also don't want it to be too obviously corrected look. And I would open the tailgate, but I'm afraid I might hit this car that had it parked so close. So I don't want to mess with that. But tailgate's all clean finally. I'm happy that all this paint came off of here. It was almost like a primer color. Now I'm kind of tripping out whether that carb cleaner maybe turned this more yellowish here as well. I think I left the carb cleaner on too long there or something. That's the only thing I can think of, because it's weird. If it's on metal, it didn't transition the color. It's only on plastic. Why is that? If any of my paint guys know, why does that happen only on plastic? Yeah, because even in the shade, it's a yellow tint. Using my head as the shade, you can kind of see there's like this neon yellow tint right here and right here, a little clear white in here. And I was making sure to clean up a lot of this with rubbing alcohol right afterwards, but some places I know I forgot. All right, so that was another learning curve. I'm gonna try to buff that out, get that color back. Also, I was able to get the majority of the scuffs off the rims. Very content with how they turned out. I still have to do the front one. I forgot about this one, but with the amount that's coming off compared to the actual scratches that are just engraved in there, like I'm not gonna get those two out or those three. It's just not gonna happen. But the majority that's clean, I'm not gonna paint these rims. That should be good enough. They're rims, you're in a city, there's curbs. It looks far better than what I thought it originally looked like. Yeah, same thing here. Some of these scuffs are just not gonna come out. But when everything else is cleaned up perfect and it's shining, those won't matter as much. Yeah, same back here. So it is what it is. But yeah, guys, I'm sorry. I know I keep saying the next video will be the final video. That was my intention. It's always my intention. I always misread how long things are going to take me. I really thought soldering that one relay, actually all four, were going to take me like an hour and a half, maybe 2 or 3 hours max. It took me 7.5 hours. Ridiculous. I did not foresee that coming at me. But that's part of this game, guys, is like learning when things are just not going to go your way a lot of the time. It's going smooth one way, hits a hiccup another way. Trying to take off that cover for the motors to the wipers. I thought that was going to be a 30-minute process. Took me an hour and a half. I never got them off, was never able to pull it off. Ended up just putting it back on the best I could. And just little things like that, just constantly, you never know if things are going to work out great or just take the whole day of wasted time. One thing I have learned, if I'm going to do another van, I am paying a detailer to clean it, 100%. It's not worth me spending, I don't even know, 3 or 4 episodes a week of cleaning this thing. It's just too much. I don't like detailing. I'm not great at it. I'm very meticulous about it. But if I could have paid someone to do this in 2 days and had just the clear energy of working on something else, I'd much prefer that. So I think next time, if I ever do a van again, I think I will definitely pay a detailer to clean it and spit shine the whole thing. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, with all that said, guys, if you haven't yet, make sure to go down, hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell so you get alerted when each episode comes out. Also, if you haven't, if you guys could go down, smash the like button, helps me out a ton. I've been seeing growth. I appreciate it every time, so thank you guys. So anyway, I'm gonna try to get all that tackled in the next episode. Finally, it'll all be done. I'm gonna look for a new flip in the meantime. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I'm looking at a few. They're way overpriced right now. I just don't see the value. I see a lot of risk with trying to buy some of these cars. So I don't know, kind of in and out on what I'll be able to find. Hopefully I do. Not positive yet. If not, like I said, we always have a lot of work that needs to be done. I need to finish the Audi, I need to finish the Mustang, finish the Explorer, finish the Challenger. There's all little things that need to be done across all those vehicles. So regardless, next episode will definitely be an interesting one. But with all that being said, guys, I think that is going to wrap up another episode of Broken Mirror. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll catch you again on Sunday. Later, guys.